Cheaters of Reddit, how did the work from home situation affected the affair you were having? One of my staff found out her husband was having an affair at the beginning of lockdown. While we were waiting for IT equipment, we had staff log onto the system using their own devices, and her husband had saved a hotel booking confirmation to the desktop of the laptop she hadn't used for a while. Idiot. I've heard a few stories of people getting caught due to the fact that constant texting became real obvious. One case of someone getting caught for inviting people from a dating app over to the house while everyone else was out working. Personally, I have no idea how people find the time to have a job and 2 relationships. Just ridiculous. This happened at the beginning of quarantine. So my friend got a call from her co-worker at 2 AM. Co-worker was drunk as hell and was stranded. My friend picked her up and offered her the couch to sleep on and sober up until morning when buses would run again. My friend woke up to find her boyfriend and the co-worker having sex right next to her in their bed. She described it as being passionate and almost romantic. My friend freaked out and left right away. Few days later, people start finding out. The co-worker claimed it was RP but didn't want to go to the cops. The boyfriend says he was too drunk. The co-worker's own boyfriend decided to stay with her. My friend and her boyfriend had to live together for a few months during quarantine until she found her own place. Best part? A few weeks ago, the 2 cheaters were caught F-king in public and were charged for public indecency. COVID made it easier for my husband to cheat. He was laid off for 8 weeks and I was still working full time. My workload doubled, so I would be home later than usual and extremely exhausted. He would sneak them in the back door while I was asleep at night. Not me, but a friend was living with her partner through lockdown. Thought he was going for long dog walks or to visit his mum. Turns out he was actually going to his pregnant girlfriend's house. My neighbor got busted cheating on his corona diet that he and his wife were doing. He'd go out for a run up to Little Caesars, eat a pizza and drink a soda, then come home sweaty and directly take a shower and brush his teeth to hide it from his wife, who was diligently doing her part in the diet. He was outed when restrictions relaxed around here and one of his teenagers spotting him coming out of the restaurant holding a bag. That story is cute considering what I asked for. So the person I thought was my girlfriend was actually having an affair with me. Lockdown made her way less available, especially during normal daytime hours, which had never been an issue before. Started getting very suspicious when she would only speak on the phone in the car. There were a lot of other red flags, but lockdown made it way harder for her to hide her bullshit. My father and I caught my mother in what we found out was a 6+ year affair with her boss at work. He went out to get ice cream and left us a phone to solve a word puzzle she was stuck on. Dad apparently was suspicious and went through her TXTs. It got real ugly when she got home and our family has been in ruins since. I know it's not the same, but I have wondered how the prevalence of Ring doorbells has affected cheaters. My dad just got busted last week for this. So normally he just drives his own car. But recently he has been using my mom's car a bunch to go run errands because it gets better mileage. Well, he used it so often that the Bluetooth in the car automatically connected to his phone when he and my mom got in the car to go to my grandpa's funeral, and cue the car reading out loud a text from my dad's mistress. After 36+ years of marriage and 8 children, my parents just separated. Thanks for F-king up our family more than it already was, Dad. There's a whole group of men with other children and family who they can't visit because of quarantine. Hard to find an excuse to leave the house for long periods of time when you now work from home. The mother kid's family must wonder why dad is never home anymore. Or leave the house to see them and risk getting caught by original family. Yikes. F-king why? And how? I have one family and I don't have a half second to myself. I managed to be putting away laundry while working and walked by the bathroom while my wife was having phone sex with a guy in 6 states away. Went through the phone records and tracked down this had been going on for a significant amount of time. The meetup stopped when she couldn't travel for work. My husband now knows my weight gain is from a love of Ritz crackers and Bursin instead of not getting my keto macros right. I used to feed the neighbor's cat a little handful of kibble and give her a scritch when I was leaving for work through the garage. Within a week the cat was howling at the door wondering where I was. The seething side eye from my main indoors kitty was withering. But I have no regrets. Speaking on behalf of my wife, that was cheating. She left a Facebook message to the co-worker she was having sex with, who I also know and considered a friend, that she misses him and can't wait to have multiple quickies since they only work 1 day a week because of COVID and the rest from home. FML. On my way out. Edit. Thank you for the silver. I'd like to thank my wife's whorish ways for making this possible. My parents broke quarantine rules to have a family friend over and my mom ended up sleeping with him. My sister cheated on her husband of 7 years. Left him in June 2020. Started dating the guy she was cheating with. They went to Mexico, got engaged. Moved in with then fiance registered sign. She has since moved out of his house and called off the engagement wedding that they planned for the 12th of November 2020. Texted her ex-husband asking to work it out. His new GF texted my sister telling her to leave her man alone, and my sister is now dating the guy she was cheating with again. They are just not spending time with their kids together. The kids lived together last week. Close bracket. Talk about some crazy shit. Answering this on behalf of a friend. The lockdown seemed to make it easy for him to get out of the house. He would go on daily bike rides in the middle of that day and she, his co-worker, would pick him up around the corner and they'd check in at a local hotel. All was great until the shit hit the fan. My sister's kid's school was supposed to mail out laptops for every child who remained home. They were extremely delayed, so her BF let my niece use his laptop and he bought a new one. While my sister was cleaning it up and getting it ready for my niece to use, she saw he had email notifications enabled and saw an email for a DoorDash receipt. She found the address and name of the person who received the delivery. Found the woman on Facebook. Reached out. And found out he had been giving them both the same gifts. Promises. Lines. Nudes. Etc. Unfortunately, my sister is an idiot and is still with him. All I can say is, regardless of cheating or not cheating, the lockdown opened my eyes to the fact that the person I thought I knew was actually a terrible woman, and in no way did she care about me, just about money and getting herself into a better position. I am eternally grateful for the fact that I would have never known if I wasn't forced to spend extra time with said person. My co-worker was having an affair with the 22-year-old project coordinator. Before COVID hit. She moved away and now he's locked down with his wife and 3 kids. And his wife is a nurse. Well, Google has made it pretty easy and most of the test answers are right out of the book, so take that, Mrs. Elgar. This will be buried. But it's a morbidly interesting story I thought I might share. My co-worker's boyfriend returned from overseas early last year and immediately moved in with her after dating only a year with him in the army. She works at an animal shelter and he got a job working from home. So she was gone 9 hours a day and he was home. A little more than a month ago she came home to find out he was gone. He got home 20 minutes after her. A bit flushed. Saying he had gone to see a friend spur of the moment. She thought it was odd because usually he'd tell her if he was going anywhere. So she left early the same day the next week just to see. And sure enough, he wasn't there. Stopped by the said friend's house. Boyfriend wasn't there either. Somehow or another she found out he was leaving the same days every week to go see another girl when he should have been working. If anything, COVID made things easier for him to cheat. For a change of pace, I know a sex addict who actually stopped F-king every person that would FCK him for the past few months. I wouldn't say the pandemic had nothing to do with it. My ex cheated on me. And since the pandemic he's been messaging me about missing me and F-king up. Do not take that scum back. My ex would go up to our rooftop to do some work after we put his daughter to bed since I was working from home and she was doing online school and has to be up early. He was a bartender, so he was used to being up late and didn't want to keep me up by working in bed next to me. We had a 1-bedroom, so his daughter slept in the living room. He was working on a business plan that I was helping him with to try and make some $sign during COVID. Turns out those late night rooftop work sessions were really leaving to go spend a few hours with his girlfriend 15 minutes away and then sneaking back in the apartment before his daughter and I woke up. His daughter had respiratory issues too, so I was so nervous about exposing her. He was exposing all of us. My ex was Fkin Stealth X100 when it came to cheating. I'm not the cheater, but pre-lockdown I was casually dating a guy that I met last year. When we met, he told me he was divorced. We spent a lot of time together going on dates and hanging out, so I never suspected anything. And I live alone, so we'd always be at my place. He had even invited me on a business trip of his to another state. Anyway, maybe a week or two into lockdown, I get a text from his phone basically saying this is his wife. You can have him. Turns out he had a wife and kid the entire time. The kid was playing on his phone and the wife grabbed it and saw our texts. He came clean and said yeah, he lied because he was unhappy with his marriage. I cut him off, but it totally affected my trust in people. He recently reached out to me telling me he had contemplated suicide and he lost his job and his wife was dragging him and ruining him. I told him to not bring that guilt to me, and that was that. Scrolling through looking for my wife's username. I don't think she's cheating, but you gotta be sure. Fortunately, my husband spends too much time on Reddit to notice I'm gone for extended periods of time. So it's all good on my end. Wait a minute. I'm convinced my ex-husband was cheating in the first UK lockdown. He would literally go for 5 hours walks with no drink, food, and come back with cut up legs. This is the same guy who shits 5 times a day. He would also be the first to volunteer to work in the office and have to stay late each time. Funnily enough, less than a month after the breakup, he's dating a colleague. I finally found out that my now ex was cheating on me for the entirety of our relationship. The quarantine didn't even end the affair, it just brought it to light. She was still seeing him, increasing my risk for exposure to COVID. Thank God for quarantine. My time to shine. Or, rather, my soon-to-be ex-husband's. He's divorcing me. It just became too much work to lie to me. He doesn't feel bad or anything. He's just a busy guy. You know. And it's hard work to maintain a double life when your wife, who gave up her career to raise your child at your request, is home all the time raising your child during a pandemic. I guess it was easy and fun to cheat on me and rack up credit card debt for the last 10 years. But the strain of the pandemic finally took its toll and he needed to leave me now for his own mental health. And no, I had no idea of any of it until he coldly dumped the truth on me and moved out. I'm the biggest idiot in the world. AMA. Can't say for myself. But it certainly didn't work out so well for my ex-fiancé. Assisting another dude in the bedroom while I'm in the living room. One room over. Working from home. Maybe don't leave yourself logged into Facebook on your significant other's PC if you're going to use it to be a disgustingly unfaithful liar. LMAO. I've known some prison guards and they always mention that the king's in prison. The way you would want to go to prison is to be a guy who killed his wife's lover. In prison hierarchy. That is the top. Used to be a prison guard. The other best way up the hierarchy is to A. Beat up, murder a pedo. B. Arrive on the housing unit with an anus absolutely smacked full of Suboxone or heroin. We started dating in December and lockdown started in April. At the start of lockdown, my girlfriend got several invitations to quarantine together on her phone. And constantly was closing applications on her phone when I would get near her. I brought it up. And she teary-eyed told me at one point she'd been a sugar baby before we met. She claimed it was old sugar daddies. I hadn't told her I also saw suggestive messages coming from her vendor rep, 20 years older than her. And another guy come across her phone too. When I asked her if there was anything else she thought I should know about, she told me no. We were spending 24 hours a day together, so I knew she wasn't physically cheating during lockdown. Towards the end of lockdown she renamed an ex in her phone. And she made nonsense excuses why she needed to return to work early. The entire thing was built on lie after lie. I bailed. Through the grapevine I hear she's telling the story of I misunderstood some text messages. Nice try honey, me and Katie are just friends. I'm probably too late that this'll get buried but. Fun story. So back in Feb, the first confirmed UK COVID case to be transmitted in the country was local to me. For a while the guy was confused where he'd got it. Until it transpired that his wife had given it him after she'd gone on a work trip the previous weekend. Except she hadn't gone on a work trip but had instead gone to London to meet up with her other man. An Italian who had just flown in for the weekend, having brought COVID with him from the at the time hotspot of Italy. Needless to say she got caught cheating because of it. No idea what happened after that, but that was the local gossip of the tale anyway. That's literally the beginning plot of the movie Contagion. For everyone saying FCK cheaters, your awards will be in the mail. For everyone else, please share some interesting stories to get us through this Monday. Well, I only go to the store once or twice a week now. And since I can't be stockpiling in any significant quantity without my so finding out, I've been forced to only get a little bit at a time or share with her. Open bracket. I'll never get diabetes at this rate. I've known the husband for years, but only knew the wife a few years. And I know they have a polyamorous relationship. All my poly friends are very specific on rules between the two primaries. Since I'm not poly myself, I tend not to pay attention to the rules of the relationships of such friends. And I accept them as the individuals they are. We're members of the same club, so I'd see them regularly pre-COVID, and she was always very cozy with a couple of people. I hadn't known that she was breaking their agreed upon rules. So she was able to pretty publicly cheat because of that. After lockdown, her work deliveries were soon found to be cheating visits, and he kicked her out. Happy ending. The husband came into a large windfall, about $500,000 inheritance, after he kicked her out. My ex got all of the cheating out of her system right before COVID happened. Smart girl. You may rightfully be called scum for cheating, but I definitely still want to hear your story as bad as any other taboo story. Well, does anyone else read through these? And even though you've never cheated or even thought about it, think about how you would have done things differently to not get caught. Kind of like when you're watching a serial killer documentary. Came home from a doctor's appointment and discovered my wife in bed with a pint of ice cream. But it was only vanilla. So I guess there's that. I was wondering why she's been so cold lately. Only the brave ones will comment on this, LMAO. It is an anonymous site, so you wouldn't have to be that brave. We wash beforehand and wear masks. What's weird is that most of those women are pregnant now. Hope their husbands have been going raw as well. I doubt all of you guys are speaking for a friend, lol. I've been seeing a woman who lives in the same complex as me for the last 2 years or so. She's older and secure in her marriage, so our relationship has been very casual and discreet, living so near each other. We can visit whenever we want while we both maintain separate lives. COVID changed all that when her husband started working from home. We stopped all contact for about 6 months and pretended to not know each other the few times we passed in the courtyard, walking our dogs, etc. Her husband has since gone back to work and we've resumed our routine. But things have changed in ways I don't really like. She's become more clingy and has hinted at taking our relationship to a more serious level. I definitely don't want that, and over the last 6 months, I've grown less attracted to her. Things have been more awkward than they ever were before, and I'm not sure where we go from here. Ending things seems likely. I'm not sure if COVID caused this change. Whoa. Poor husband.